You never know exactly when that intro music is going to start, but it'll get you every time. Hello, everyone. Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of words, recorder of videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the Monday edition of my bi-weekly behind-the-scenes DM-only live stream, Crafting the Deep, which I build right and prepare for our next session of Call from the Deep. Your playing characters, Gottwald, Mach, Sabra, or Toro. This video is not meant for you. It will be full of spoilers, but for the rest of you, welcome. We stream our D&D sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server with invite link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20, and for streaming, I use OBS Studio. Hold on to your dreams, Demnix. No, we've got power has been restored. We actually got it back Saturday night, so we still had to go through a little bit longer until things got back to normal. We were out, thankfully, most of the day, physically out of the house. Saturday, came back, had to deal with it kind of Saturday evening, and then it came back literally in the middle of dinner, and all has been well so far. My poor folks just lost power today, though. We had another fucking storm roll in today. I can't even believe this weather has been insane. I had a big thing about the weather in my Monday update, where I talked to like 20 minutes about the craziness that this last week has been, so I don't want to necessarily rehash all of that, but it has been nuts. And apparently in the month of May was a top 10 wettest month ever for, I don't know if it's just for Texas or for my particular area, but it has been like crazy the amount of storms we've had and the effect that it's had on all the power and down trees and just fucking mayhem, man. The Styes is not going through such a storm. Actually, that would be kind of a cool adventure though for D&D, just be in an area where there's like a natural disaster going on, but something sinister is happening also, because it's got to be something going on with D&D. We are in the Styes. Let's see, how far did we get last time? Friday is kind of a blur, I'll be honest. I think we got to where they met Mr. Rephraim, which I reflavored him instead of I don't know what the fuck he's supposed to be, like a priest or something. I made him a physician. Felt a little more Lovecraftian, I think. And gave them basically the initial hook for the quest, so they haven't actually started the murder mystery part yet. And the introduction, I basically combined the Rephraim adventure hook, wherever that's located at. This is just locations. I guess it's under murder mystery. Okay, it's under adventure hooks. That's probably a good place to start. Yeah. Rephraim's plea, and I combined that with the encounter number 5, which is a militia patrol tries to pay them an entrance tax. So I like to, that's one thing I really have a lot of mileage with when it comes to creating interesting encounters, is just take 2 of them and combine them and immediately create more chaos and interesting things going on and more things for the players to interact with. So kind of a 2-in-1 right there. They got to do their thing and talk down the militia. Actually didn't kill anybody, which I was impressed, because that would have made things a little bit harder for their investigation. And then presumably get the quest from Dr. Rephraim about investigating a serial killer, but also possible wrongful execution, which breaks down to going to the asylum. You know, I thought about this, by the way. I don't know if this was like a shower thought or what when I was thinking, but that the party might want to go see where Jarmy, which I really hate that name. I think I'm gonna rename him Jamie, because I don't like Jarm. It's such a fucking, it's like Jarnathan or something. It's just such a stupid D&D name. Yeah, air has been fixed and restored. No shirtless clothes just yet. So Jamie, I don't know. I feel like the players would want to go visit like his home, but the only things that are actually mentioned in the murder mystery part of it is the asylum where they hauled him off to, the murder site, which I think you have to go through the militia to do that, which they just had a run-in with the militia, so that kind of flavors them in a different way. Let's see, what section is that under? The district garrison constable Jute is the person you need to. Does Rephraim specifically tell them to go speak with Jute, or is that just like, hey, go talk to the guards? Oh, that's right. That's the one that actually found him. Okay. Rephraim recommends the characters track down and speak with Constable Jute. Another fucking stupid name. God, I cannot with these names. The militia, it just sounds like they're all fit into like an RNG machine and then they come out. The militia guard who found Jarm crouched over his victim. Sheepy contact Mr. Garson. Okay. So that would be a good lead that he can give them. And he's already mentioned the fact that the militia will not give him the time of day, but perhaps they'll talk to the players. Jonathan. So they can get that lead from Rephram, and then he can, I guess, does he tell them to go to the asylum, or does the party actually come up with that? I believe that the Lantern Ghost is still killing. This is a sinister conspiracy. Suggests the agent's conspiracy use enchantment's control and forcing to commit one or more murders. When he's caught, the user influence him quickly executed. Authorities are watching him as an order as a thorn in the side of the council means such as characters begin access information. Witnesses that he can't. They start their investigation. Okay, so he tells them that they start their investigation at Hope Nair Asylum, where Jamie was held for a few days after his capture. Just because maybe there's some clues or something there. And then Rephram also recommends the characters track down. Okay, so he just straight up gives them the two main leads, which is fine. That's probably how my players prefer it. I wonder if they'll split up here. That would be interesting. This part's kind of tricky because there's not going to be... I don't have a map for any of this, right? And really, I don't even have, like, handouts. Like, I did make a handout, but I don't know. I guess I'll ask you all about this. Of the one cool image. So I turned this from a handout into, like, a map screen. But this is very specifically the Dory's warehouse. So I'd kind of rather show that when they're outside of Dory's warehouse versus just like wandering around the Styes in general. I don't have a good wandering around the Styes map. I guess I should find one instead of complaining about it. I'm sure I can find some kind of Lovecraftian looking creepy city and just use that as kind of a, I don't know, a handout thing to show them. I really wish there was just like one more picture in here that could help do that. There is kind of one for the asylum. I don't know if this is supposed to be Rephram or not. It certainly could be, and it kind of gives away the game with showing like a squid and maybe a little bit of an aboleth here. So it's a cool image. I don't know if I necessarily want to use it. It's very like adventure gaming, which I like. I haven't quite decided on that. But those are the two main avenues that they can go to. And then at the... I'm kind of rehashing what we talked about, I guess, during one of the craftings earlier too. But this is now becoming very relevant because that's what they're going to about to do. At the asylum, Hope Nair Asylum, there's Emil Trantor, which is not that bad of a name. Prematurely old female human physician. And she is harried, so the party has to try to talk to her, but she's going to be kind of maybe difficult to talk to. But she's not really trying to hide anything. She's just kind of a pain in the butt, although there's not even like a skill check or anything. I guess probably just roleplay it. Asked about visitors. Trainer tells them only one person was permitted to see him on the militia's orders. Defense. And see, it automatically like gives the game away. This is such a quick clue that they can find. So maybe she can say something like, we're not supposed to talk about that or something. Just to have some kind of a roadblock so the party has to make like a check or has to bribe her or do something. I don't want to make it like she's complicit in anything. More like she's just kind of red tape. You know, like no, we can't do that and all that. Like maybe, I don't know if she's doesn't just being difficult. No time. I mean, it already says, yeah, Harry in protest. She has no time for long conversation or prying questions. As soon as the character mentions Jamie the Lantern Ghost killing, so she changes to one of concern for a lost patient. Okay. So, but Rephram wasn't a patient until he was thrown into the asylum, right? He did, or did he live in the asylum? That's something I actually didn't understand. I thought he was a fisher. I guess he went to the asylum for a couple days before he was executed, and she, like, I guess, thought he was a patient at that point. Spent so much of his time alone. He has no alibi for the murders. Trying to read and see if it says where Jamie's from. Does not. I have a feeling they want to go to this guy's house, and that's the big problem. Well, and so in that case, maybe I can say like his house is, maybe he was at the asylum. No, does that make any sense? Ghost is still killing. Yeah, Virginia was held for a few days after his capture. So he was sent to the asylum because he was acting crazy. So maybe that's where they were going to commit him, but then the militia had him executed. Or really, Mr. Dory had him executed just to hide any issues with that. And then what is Mr. Dory? I think we decided he's a Deep Scion assassin. So we're kind of combining two things, I think, right here, which is what this campaign is all about. We're combining the Kraken Society with the Mind Flayer shenanigans, and I think that lets me use the best of both worlds. Because Kraken Society, to me, is all about the creepy, Lovecraftian, Deep Scion shit, and Mind Flayer, also kind of another coin of the Lovecraftian shit, but maybe a little bit more alien, and I think I can work with that and say that maybe the Kraken Society was already here, already being part of the corruption, and then the Mind Flayer moved in, and now the Kraken Society has been now basically serves the Mind Flayers because of the Zelix 4 Elder Brain taking over the Kraken. So now that influence has just... So it's almost like when the Mind Flayer showed up, suddenly your god is like, hey, this is, you know, my new voice, my new avatar. You need to obey his every whim. And I would imagine most Kraken Society cultists would be like, okay. That's kind of weird, but okay. So perhaps Mr. Dory now is doing everything, and I guess I need to work on my timeline then, because how long have these murders been going on? Probably since the Mind Flayer arrived and has been doing this work, which, oh gosh, when is my timeline for that? I do have... Okay, I said that the crash happened a month before the adventure began. And then it was about 2 weeks until the party arrived back at Neverwinter to defend it from the Black Armada, which is also when they met the Aboleth who gave them this quest. So at best, it was like 6 weeks from between when the Mind Flayers first crashed in Gunderlin to when the Aboleth gives them the quest and tells them, hey, there's a Mind Flayer in this city. So I don't know what I told them at the end of last city, the end of last session, but hopefully it wasn't like months, because I don't think that would make much. I guess the Kraken Society could have been doing their own thing, but it would really be the specific thing that the Mind Flayer's been doing haven't really been going on that long. It's only been a couple weeks at best, so make sure of that timeline. So you can speak with Trantor. You learn about the fact that Mr. Dory was the only one permitted to see him on the militia's orders. So maybe there were guards stationed even outside of his door, I assume. Like you would with somebody who's kind of under arrest but still has to go to the hospital. Mr. Dory is present at the asylum. Struck the position as both unsettling and odd. Okay. Interesting that Mr. Dory would go directly. But I guess this would warrant... This kind of thing would warrant a specific meeting from one of the higher-ups. Jamie's body was cremated and the ashes were dumped into the recurring tide, so nothing remains to be questioned. We'll speak with the dead or some more magic. I do like that the campaign makes a nod to that. 2 suggestions. 1, get a generator. 2, get a battery backups for your computers. I know. Honestly, we talked about getting a generator after we had the big freeze in 2021. And at least 1 or 2 people in our neighborhood had a generator. You could hear them because they're loud as fuck. One person had solar panels, which I think they had a little bit of power from that. But yeah, there was at least 1 generator in the distance that was extremely loud. So it is something to make. I mean, we just haven't had... It's frustrating because, obviously you don't need it till you need it, but it's also very rare. Like the last time we had a major power issue was in 2021, was 3.5 years ago, really, January of 2021. We had that big famous freeze that was like below freezing for several days and shit, and had lost power for a while, and it got real scary. Until basically this last week, where it was, and even then it wasn't full power out for, I mean, we had a couple hours, and then it was that next couple days we had like the half power. But yeah, it happens just enough where you're like, I wonder if we need to invest in something like that. And then you can go to his room, which they will definitely want to go do. I imagine that would take another check or some kind of. I want to make it more involved for the players and not just be like pure role playing here. I feel like there should be, skill checks or stealth checks or something. I guess really fun RP scenes could get it. The RPness could make it work also, but I feel like I almost wish there was a little more gamification here for all these clues and tracking downs. The message. Resulting images were unsettling, and trainers happy to let the characters see them. So they haven't scrubbed that yet. Cast off lumps of charcoal. You'd think they would have cleaned up the room. So that part's kind of weird. Because it's been a couple days, I think. I know. I like the DC con save for exhaustion. That's pretty great. The unwashed bodies, filth, mildew, and rotting straw. You could also just give everybody the poison condition, which would be more temporary versus temporary exhaustion. But exhaustion's more like you've got that just ongoing effect until your next long rest. So that might be kind of brutal. But could be a way of, giving them some kind of penalty just for being here, I guess. You do get a con save, though. It does say you automatically recover after spending 10 minutes in the open air, so it's literally just while you're in here. Let's see. These sketches for a few minutes. Quickly recognize there are multiple versions of tentacled creatures, something like a squid or octopus. Determining further details is difficult. So I think what I'm doing is that this person was turned into a thrall, right? I can't do the intellect devourer thing because they executed the body, and an intellect devourer didn't pop out of the head, right? Does that always happen? Actually, I don't know. Let's see, mind flayer thralls. I guess I need to look up intellect devourers too. Devoured by taking the brain of a thrall and subjecting it to a horrible ritual. It sprouts legs, the brain becomes an intelligent predator that's twisted and evil as its masters. If the host body dies, the intellect devourer must leave it. Protection from evil and good spell. Cast the body drives the intellect devourer out. The intellect devourer is also forced out if the target regains its devoured brain by means of a wish. By spending 5 feet of its movement, the intellect devourer can voluntarily leave the body, teleporting to the nearest unoccupied space within 5 feet of it. The body then dies unless the brain is restored within 1 round. So I can't... I guess it depends on how he was executed. Does it say how he was executed? I don't... yeah, because it did say on his way to the gallows, so they hung him. And I think I did say that part last night. So I was thinking if they, executed him secret, but... I think it would have been cool to then have it be like, oh, the intellect devourer escaped, and now it's just in another body, so the intellect devourer is actually the murderer. But I don't know if I can swing that. Does anybody have any good ideas? Or should I just make it be like it's just a thrall, and the mind flayer is just creating different thralls, basically, or really trying to keep things on the down low and create one thrall that can kill people, and then maybe taking when he's killing people, to take their brains to feed the growing illithid kraken. Can't decide if they've made it an illithid kraken yet. I mean, yeah, then intellect devourers are also pretty scary on their own. Did the party fight one yet? I actually don't know if we fought one yet. Also, fucking brilliant scene in the D&D movie. It's just for a joke. Even though it's not actually how they can detect, the location of a creature with 3 or higher, but they just made it a really funny thing where it's almost like a T-Rex. It can't sense certain creatures, not because of movement, because of intelligence, but all right, it's gonna kill us if we're smart enough, and then it doesn't. It just keeps walking. That's such a fucking good gag. That's something a DM would definitely do. Everybody stop thinking for a second. That's such a cool idea for a serial killer, though. Like for that Fallen storyline um, of having the or like jump from body to body, and that's what's actually killing people. But I don't think we can swing that because I believe is that part. I'm trying to find out. It actually talks about him dying. New murder. Can't see it in here. Young Fisher. Oh, the Fisher was Rafe, turning up dead the morning after Jamie's execution. Okay, so Jamie wasn't. I don't know what Jamie was then. Maybe that's in their opening story. Turn ghost murders. Oh no, it does say local human Fisher named Jamie Loveage. And yeah, I'm just changing his name now. Slaved the young man and compelled him to commit brutal murders, fueling dread in the district. Jim was captured by nighttime patrol. Only yesterday, he dangled from the executioner's noose. They literally hung him, which would be the perfect opportunity for an intellect devourer to show up and get away. If I wanted to stay true to the canon events here. So instead of that, it's just a thrall created by the Mind Flayer. So the Mind Flayer has to create a new thrall, which I guess he already did because there's already a killing going on. Or is it that Mr. Dory did the killing? I guess that's what I need to look up too. I know it was. I think it's like just one of his random like agents did the killing. Which, if you already have those, then why do you need the thrall to do it? I guess because they're not that good at it. In fact, I think it mentions when they investigate the new murder site, you end up finding like the webbed footprints or something. So the message that Jamie scrawls. The nice thing is I can change these if I need to. Tentacle creature is shown devouring a coastal city. Creature is shown trapped in a deep chasm underwater pit. Its tentacles wrapped around humanoids who are dragged down into the inky dark. Tentacle creature needs to be shackled by a collar attached to a chain, with the chain held by another creature resembling a vile multi-tailed fish. So that's the part I'll probably have to change, is the aboleth part specifically. I guess I don't know if a thrall from a Mind Flayer can break free of its thrallness like that. Humanoids, Mind Witness, Neothalids, which is probably what I may use. What are you talking about? Thralls, Nautiloids. I feel like I used a lot of Mind Flayer stuff in the last campaign too. Mutations, treasure. Alright, what are you talking about? Thralls. Thermophosis. Elder Brain, which I basically used for a boss fight last time. Gith. Powerful Mind Flayer. Ultra Grand Design. Version, goals. A lot of stuff about a Mind Flayer in here, isn't there? This is, I think from Sword Code? No, Volo's Gun to Monsters. Okay. Mind Flayer throw. Oh, I was in that section. God. I'm talking about using sign ability to send visions to humanoid shamans. You can modify the gods. The gods and dictate strict rules that cause some members trying to brain as heretics. Mind Flayer might use its psionic ability to send visions to a shaman, causing it to claim the Mind Flayers emissaries of the gods. Huh. So it's more like psychic, like Manchurian candidate shit, like Winter Soldier. Because that I could work with. Process of transforming a creature into a thrall requires the entire colony's energy and attention, making it no small matter. It takes only one mind flayer to perform the process. Any illithid not directly involved in the process is required to donate psionic power to its effort while those remain inactive. Using a low power version of Mind Blast ability, the Mind Flayer bombards the victim with energy that washes through its synapses like acid, clearing away its former personality and leaving it a partially empty shell. The step takes 24 hours. Over the next 48 hours, the illithids rebuild the victim's memories and personality. The victim gains the skills and talents it needs to perform its intended function. It psionically lobotomizes. But maybe the person, once they have some traumatic experience, could still, like, a rudimentary, like a child, try to describe things via drawing. I could also work with that. So Jamie wasn't able to, like, speak necessarily after all this happened to him. Process that creates a thrall changes almost everything about the victim. The creature retains its hit dice, hit points, racial traits, and all of its ability scores except for intelligence. Huh. A new personality. Salvage victims' psionic abilities and process that implant psionic powers in their thralls. Leave a victim's persona intact while infusing it with a fanatical loyalty to the colony's elder brain, as well as telepathic power that allows the victim to communicate with its new masters. All right, so basically it's kind of... This makes it sound like it's just the DM's prerogative on what you want to do with a Mind Flayer Thrall. I'm reading all this from the Mind Flayer Thrall entry and follows. Sort of Thrall makes a perfect spy. Thrall can be used restored to its former self through a combination of spells and ministration. Thrall must have regeneration, heal, and greater restoration cast on it once per day for 3 consecutive days. Oh, that's sad. They could have restored Jamie. Victim restored to normal when the final round of spells is cast. Huh. Okay. So I think that's what happened to Jamie. He was turned into a thrall, but because the mind... so maybe instead of the Mind Flayer... Well, no, that'd be a catch-22. I was thinking, like, he can use the dread from the murders as a psionic power to create the thrall, but then the thrall was the one that did the murders, so that doesn't quite work out with the timing there. Maybe the Mind Flayer was still able to connect with the others and channel this ability to create the thrall, but it still requires a lot. It's still not a very big colony to create this one thrall, and then he sent the thrall out to do the murders because he needs someone who's loyal and someone who knows the city and blah, blah, blah to maybe just quietly extract these brains. And maybe the murders have only been... But they've been obviously catching the bodies and stuff, so... And I'm thinking the brains, maybe that's the big clue for the players. But the players would be like, oh, well, it's a Mind Flayer who's actually stalking it because all the brains are missing, so clearly it's a Mind Flayer doing the work, where actually the Mind Flayer is behind everything, but he's not the one actually doing the killing. It actually was Jamie doing the killing. I guess that's part of the twist, but he was enthralled the whole time. So I guess they did kind of execute the right guys, sort of. Although in comic books, heroes get taken over all the time and do terrible things, and everybody's just like, look, man, there's like no justice there too. It's like, look, it's fine, you weren't in control. But, you know, tell that to the victims. Actually I shouldn't say and talk to Constable Jute. She's the one that caught him. This one actually does require a DC 15 persuasion check. Admit she doesn't believe he was the sole killer, if he was the killer at all. She's aware of the murder that took place the morning after Jamie's execution, and how quickly its investigation was dispensed with. So she is not in Mr. Dory's pocket, it sounds like. Which is nice. You need a few people, which actually a lot of people they interact with are not horrible. I mean, Master or Dr. Rephram, perfectly fine dude. The Dr. Tranter, I guess, at the asylum is fine, just kind of annoyed at the party. And then Constable Jute is also seems to be a stand-up citizen. Skulls one of the council majorities had numerous closed door meetings with Mitchell commanders recently. These visitors not occurred during the day when Jamie was executed. Also, the character majority found in the warehouse that is his home and business. Okay, that's pretty important because I don't think you actually got the location from Tranter. Yeah, you knew that it's just Mr. Dory. Okay, so maybe that's the two. You know the name here, and you get the location from her, and then you can go to the scene of the crime. All right, the latest murder, which you can go to the original crime site, the one where she caught him as well. I forget where that one's listed, but oh yeah, where she caught Jamie. There are no further clues here. Okay, I should mention a single paragraph or a single sentence. The same isn't true of the scene of the murder that took place the day after Jamie's execution. So for some reason, that stuff is still around. One of his scum minions did it. Okay. So in this case, it would be, I guess, one of the deep scions, which I don't think. Or we could leave the scum. We could have somebody mention maybe replacing Mr. Dory's flesh, some fish golem. It kind of is a fish golem though, isn't it? It's like got all the fish parts to it. We could replace the flesh golem with the scum. I don't know if that's just a creature that would be, I don't know. This still feels like such a boss level creature to me. CR5 to combine it with Mr. Dory. But it is cool. I decide. I still like using the deep scions instead of the scums in here, though. I think it's a nice way of scaling the adventure down while still being very thematic with whole Kraken society like hideout here. But in that case, then it's not a scum that did it, it's a deep scion that actually did this murder. He took place in an alley in the northern end of the alchemist quarter. The body's immediate cremation was ordered by Mr. Dory, but the site holds one important clue. No effort was made to clean up the area, with the exception that local rats and gulls would take care of any remains. I remember reading that, and that's just highly irresponsible. Unfamiliar webbed footprints, which I don't. Does this picture show his feet? Yeah, they just have normal feet. It's just like their upper half, I think, changes. Right. Let's see. Just their Piscine form. Huh. Whenever a deep scion is killed while in their Piscine form is stripped of the magic that enabled them to transform behind the corpse of the person the deep scion once was. True form, human-like, or the hybrid form, humanoid Piscine, which doesn't really explain much other than it's just creepily, fishy, and tenderly and stuff, which is cool. But I don't know what kind of clue we could put down there. Weirdly, they don't even attack with like tentacles, though. He's got a battle axe as a weapon. Or makes one bite and two claw attacks. So I guess you could just say he's got weird. No, there's no body there. They took the body. What can I do as a clue? Jump to DC 15 survival check. The character determines the odd tracks were made by at least 3 separate creatures. I guess just you could have tracks that you could follow the survival. Anyone can follow the tracks. Make a DC 17 survival check and a failed check. The trail is lost. Success, it just leads through muddy, reeling alleys to Dory's warehouse. Which, wouldn't Constable Jute be with you at that point? You'd be like, look, this is a pretty big, like, freaking clue right here. Ugh, she has the guard stat block. That's so weak. That's so weak. Didn't even give her, like, the thug stat block. That's just the thing about the scum. Okay. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to run the investigation part, right? All roads lead to the warehouse and Mr. Dory. There's not really any, like, red herring things going on. It's not meant to be this big confusing thing. It's a pretty obvious investigation sequence, but I think it's still compelling enough where the party should still enjoy what's going on here. But, and that's good because this is basically all theater of the mind. I could technically use this map, but it doesn't really follow like Orlumbo or anything. This is like its own island, weirdly enough. I guess you could have this, just a whole district be like this is Orlumbor right here on the edges, and it's kind of this, what is it, like Manhattan, I think, is like this, where it's an island technically, in the harbor. It'd be more like this little island. What is this? Number 2. Frother's Lamp. Apparently, it's the lighthouse, I think. So yeah, I guess we could use this map. That on the token layer. Oops. But do I bother even mentioning anything on here? 7 is Dory's warehouse. Mud. Why do they have mud on there? The only places we actually visit is Dory's warehouse and the asylum. It doesn't even mark the murder sites on here, so it's 7 and 11. Which 11's down there, 7's right there. Presumably the party parked their boat, docked their boat somewhere in here. So, or I guess where's Repham's thing? Repham's workshop is 6. So if I wanted to, I could put them here, and then like everything. Or no, they have to go down all the way to 11, and then maybe like the murder actually happened, I don't know, over here or something, and then they could track it all the way to this end. I guess we could do that. Probably better than just looking at the world map. So yeah, I might as well use it. I think we could make this work just facing this direction. Just be like, yeah, this is all this water and stuff is just bridges, and this is just the rest of Orlumbor City, and that makes this out here the rest of the Sword Coast right there. All right, I talked myself into it. So that will all bring us to the warehouse, which, as we mentioned, is absolutely chock full of monsters and stuff. First thing we're going to do is, I think, copy and paste everything. Is this actually the same size as the other one? The one Bear gave me? Let's see, 50 by 35 versus 50 by 50. So why is that one so much bigger? It looks like it actually is a 5-foot map. Oh, it doesn't have to be bigger. Not at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take at least 10 off the height. Okay. I wonder if I can actually copy the dynamic lighting over. Is it that close? Bear, you dog. Let's find out. This was before the doors, so unfortunately only has the orange lines, but let's see if we're actually clever enough. No, it's close. No, Bear's is slightly bigger. It's okay. Can we stretch everything at once? Doesn't quite fit. It's not a requirement that it fit exactly. Ah, it's damn close though. Damn close. All right, we can work with this. So I can do this, move these guys. I'm not even really a fan of how Roll20 does the squares versus the boxes. I know there's a reason for it, but I don't think these boxes are ever gonna. Yeah, this is probably a waste of time to try to do all these boxes lined up perfectly. Something to do with the fact that like the sharp edges of the corners won't mess with the players or something. That will lined up better. But yeah, I think it's overkill. All right. A couple of these are going to have to get deleted, but that's pretty damn close. Everybody likes it when I hunch over awkwardly do dynamic lighting. Is that one? I guess the elevator doesn't block line of sight. We'll delete those and turn it into proper doors. I don't know why my door line color never works, but it doesn't. I'm also zoomed out a little bit so everything's small. Like so. Okay. I guess I just forgot to do that one. Flammable boxes. Don't let me forget, they are very flammable. This area should start off as a role-playing slash heist scene, depending on if they go in during the day or at night. It's a lot of boxes. Because at night it's guarded by monsters. I guess you could try to still stealth your way in. Probably don't want to throw 3 manticores in a slot at them, maybe? On the other hand, I mentioned that they are still going to be basically fully rested because there's no, combat or real penalty system for while they're doing the investigation, unless I want to saddle them with a level of exhaustion if they're exploring the asylum. So many blue lines. I do think it makes it properly creepy, though, to create this effect. Of the large-ass crates everywhere. It looks cool. I guess I should also have a giant blue line. Oops. What was it in the middle? Right there. And right there. And then this one. Mr. Dory. Oh man, such a big improvement on the map quality. God. All right, there. This is another one where the party will be hard pressed to even get a short rest on. I think probably get a short rest, 5 minutes. I think we can make that happen. I'm looking forward to this not being nearly as long as the other one. Also, as the Smog and Stronghold. I don't think anything until Escarl will be that long, and then Escarl is kind of gigantic. All right, surely this has some sight blockage, right? Right, surely. Not according to the map, though. Interesting. I think that crane would be pretty tall. It looked pretty tall in the book. How close is our ship drawing? Not very close, actually. Ship is differently shaped. It's not ship shape. All right, is this all one piece or are these? All right, I think we're just gonna have to draw this ship the old-fashioned way, which is fine. I swear that's a door right there, even though it doesn't have any description of a door. Leave it blank just in case. Okay. Keep on drawing. There. The world's tiniest ship dungeon crawl. This ship is so small. Like, dang. We have... Our normal size ship takes up like a full average Roll20 map. This thing is tiny. And then there's at least that door, and this is the whole Go there. Really fighting your way to Mr. Dory. So I think the most exciting battle is going to be the one out here, honestly. Cool ass crane and shit going on with the drop down of whatever it was, 30 feet or something. That's where the real action is. Alright, if I wanted to create something like that for some line of sight blockage. This thing does have all that shit on, right? Yeah. That's on. Dynamic lighting on. Probably not explore mode, although if they do it during the day, it'll be lit out here. I guess I could always flip on explorer mode then. Or no, I don't want to do that. Instead, I would put torches out here. That would simulate explorer mode, because it wouldn't be light inside, unless, of course, it is the day. I guess at night there wouldn't be any light. It's actually under part 3, I think. Warehouse is well guarded, protected by a night by vicious guard dogs, a trio of manticores. Any local requires a bribe of at least 10 gold pieces. You know what I think would be more interesting, but also dangerous, is the investigation is missing, or really the whole sequence of events is missing the part where you catch somebody and you get information from them. Like an exciting action scene or something. And the perfect opportunity would be if the tracks you followed from the new murder site led to a person's hideout or a bar or something. Was it just because it just happened last night, I think? So it's like the next day, I believe, is when the murder happened. Is that right? So like, could you literally track down the dude who's like hanging out at a bar, and then you could do like a chase sequence or something, although we just did a chase sequence, but maybe it's turned into like an RP scene. I don't know. Like he tries to get up and run, but like the party hopefully have enough abilities where they can just stop him. And basically just get some information out of him, in which case at that point he could give up the whole Mr. Dory warehouse thing. But I feel like also that probably gives too much of the game away if they're able to talk to somebody. So that's the part where I'm like, I feel like that would be good for pacing wise and feel like kind of the appropriate next part of the story, but you don't want to give the party too much information, especially if this guy, this just random killer, who was just one of Mr. Dory's, fellow cultists and it was a Deep Scion, ends up revealing himself as a Deep Scion, attacking the party, and the party's like, all right, well, here's your fucking problem. So that's kind of tricky. Just a thought I had, though. Because otherwise it says this information is done by like the party randomly asking people, and I feel like my group would not do that. Bribes and questions on the street. Inform characters. The two figures in Styes have strong feelings with Mr. Dory and are good potential source of information. Master Loquid, a local perfumer, and Groton Longflint, no burglar. So the party is supposed to get information. The other thing is maybe they just go back to Dr. Refram and say, hey, all things point to Mr. Dory. What do you think about that? And then maybe just Refram knows. That's probably the best way to do it. And then he can be like, okay, well, if Mr. Dory is who you're leaning towards, then there's two people I know that work with him, and that's these two people. Loquid. Just somebody who's shopped with them before. Despite several of Loquid's long talks with Dory, the counselor has enigmatically mentioned his beauties in the pool, the creature's scum and golem servants. More than once, Loquid also knows that for inexplicable reasons, Dory floods the inside of his home with water and keeps stoves burning during day and night to maintain the place at a stifling hot temperature. I don't know how relevant that information is, and if I want to like tell the party that much. Plus, I'm not using the scum and golem. Instead, it's going to be more of like Mr. Dory is part of the... He's like head of the Kraken Society outfit here. Okay, maybe I'll just skip that one and go on to Groton Longflint. Your current trade is burglar and pickpocket. Understandably circumspect about her business and discusses nothing without receiving consulting fee of 100 gold up front. Character who succeeds on a DC 15 persuasion check can get her down to 50, but no lower. Recently, Groton was led to believe that a cache of stolen pearls was in Dory's warehouse, so she did some research on the place to determine whether it was worth burgling. Dory's creatures watching. This place that would be part human, part fish. Man, you get a lot of information. There's one secret you want to know. Tells them some sort of golem made of fish parts. Secret is delivered to the warehouse. There's a golem somewhere. That's the information you need to know. Well, neither of these really give the party a whole lot of information, I guess. I'm not sure I want to use him at all. Just make it go back to Mr. Rephram and he can give him some kind of information. I don't know if Rephram himself would have contacts. I just don't see the players just randomly going around asking people, basically. They're more of a convert or kill than the chat and learn party. Yeah, I agree. Plus, if you make it to like, oh, look, we already tracked down the killer. We caught him. Like, I feel like that just kind of makes the adventure go off on a whole different tangent. But I think the killer, who would be like just a regular Deep Scion, would probably spill the beans pretty quickly. Although they do have that like psychic screech ability where they can communicate with each other, I guess. Oh, weird. It was dark, but he was wet. Yeah, so I mean, the other option is you just keep it like it is and get rid of the like follow-up information thing, and it's like, all right, all roads lead to the warehouse. You get to the warehouse and just let the party themselves, scout things out and talk to people. Maybe they'll try to think to grab a guard and see like, hey, what do you know, or something. They're probably not going to be that resourceful. They're probably just going to bungle their way through, but that just means less information for them, I guess. But if they think to go back to Rephram, maybe Rephram can at least say the line about this part of it, that basically this paragraph: parts of the edge of a large swath of mud known as Hemlock Pit. His ruthless business practices are well known, inspiring the townsfolk a mix of respect, fear, and mockery. People know that his warehouse is well guarded and protected at night by vicious guard dogs. At least something that sounds pretty monstrous. So I think Rephram can at least give them that information if they think to go back and check with him before moving on to this area. All right. In terms of this first floor, this is assuming they come in during the day. I guess, are we getting some unique artwork here? Let's look at these guys again. I do appreciate when these adventures don't use like the basic, like it's the commoner stat block we've all seen. Or the dorky guard stat block. Yeah, that one's cool looking. Okay. So these are the workers, I guess. And you've got a couple thugs around, which thugs are surprisingly meaty stat blocks. I'll give them that. They're not bandits or guards or something. It's kind of the default NPC enemy, I guess. 1, 2, 3. There's only 3? No, there's a 4th one. Alright, so Mr. Dory's warehouse, 3-story stone building. That's where I would show them that picture. Workers load and unload. Freight wagons. After dark, the warehouse is locked tight, protected against intruders by monstrous guardians. They'll be really interested, and it's totally up to the players whether they want to go in at night or during the day, and that will really change how this works, I guess. Basically, during the day, you just have a chance to RP and, I don't know, talk your way through and get some information. At night, it's everybody's gone, and you just have to, like, sneak in, break your way in, and then, or climb up, it says, and then deal with the guards. Which you could just try and get to the ship. They could think to skip the warehouse and just try to get to the ship. I wonder if I show them the picture too much, they'll be like, we gotta make it to that ship. Reaching the ship without magic requires climbing the crane, which takes a successful DC 20 strength athletics check. You can climb the crane from the floor? It looks like the crane is suspended. This is like the 3rd floor right here. I'm surprised you can climb it from the bottom. What the hell's that picture? Yeah, this is what I'm looking at. There's no way to climb up to this crane until you're on that crane platform. Climber falls 40 feet. Safer route across the bridge can be accessed only through the warehouse. But it seems like you can only make it to the crane through the warehouse, too. Yeah, I think that makes it like a non-possibility. Also, things look a lot taller than 3 stories from the picture. Jeez. I mean, I know warehouses are fucking big, but jeez. I've worked in a warehouse before. Probably skip the Thornwell part of it. Don't need to introduce that. 11 commoners loading and unloading shipment of alchemical supplies or products onto and off wagons. The workers too busy to talk, but 4 guards approach the characters to ask their business. So interestingly, it says guards, but Roll20 is using the thug stat block. I wonder if that's true of here versus just regular guards, which I like using a thug stat block. It's a little better for players' level. Direct them to Bursk Churmwell. Sorry, Bursk Chumwell. If they ask odd questions or seem suspicious, I wouldn't think they'd let anybody inside. Like, this place should just be guarded from the outside. It's kind of an annoying place to... I hate it when maps don't give you enough kind of exterior room in case like a fight breaks out right there. It's the only way in or out. It is not up to code. To the loft area. And only 3 mana cores and their red slot handler. I could see myself using the manticores because they're pretty cool. And CR3, I think they're... I don't think they're too crazy. Like, they fly around, they can do a lot of attacks, but it feels like a fun fight. The Slod, though, feels a little crazy. So that's the one I'm not quite sure if I want to actually introduce the Slod versus maybe some other creature that would be in charge. And I feel like it would be better to use, I don't know, just like a humanoid NPC who's like a handler for the mana cores, like a bandit captain or something equivalent of that, versus the Slod to kind of scale that fight down a little bit. Which I think they spawn up here, but then they can on the 2nd floor and attack from wherever they are. So I have no idea how far we're going to get this Friday, by the way. We'll have a chance to do, obviously, more crafting on Thursday. The investigation could go really quickly, or it could go... You know, we could take our time and do some really slow role-playing. And I think, need to prepare for the full warehouse. And probably, just in case, prepare all the way to the ship, in case they end up skipping, you know, sneaking their way in or something and just making it to the ship. It's not the finale of the adventure. It's just kind of the first... I guess it's into thirds, right? The investigation is the first third, this warehouse is the second third, and the final third is kind of a gauntlet of more monsters they got to get through once they go to the temple, which I could make it be that would be like the true Kraken Society hideout where now the Mind Flayer is taking up residence. The party will be newly level 8, or sorry, they leveled up to 8 last session, so they're still fully rested. Level 8 going into this dungeon, which I think that Manticore fight would basically be their first fight, so they would be plenty strong to be able to do it. I think they would take out that slot, and the Manticore is just fine. I plan on reducing, I've already reduced the scum down to scions for when they fight kind of on this crane and in the boat. I don't know how much of their numbers I'll need to reduce for that, and then they'll have some final battles, but none of this should be nearly as strong or as grueling combat-wise as the last one was, but balance is something I'm always tweaking with, and we can certainly talk about that more on Thursday. But for now, it's already been a very quick hour for this session of Crafting the Deep. So if you enjoy the content, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. Shout out to platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, Brennan, Genocide, Eclectic Roleplayer, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F, John L, Eric, Tyler, Nathan, Cap Crystal, Counselor, Andrew, Dell, The Reldrun, Captain Woody 79, Stephanie, Patrick, Jason, Ismail, Amit, Lippy, Spud, Sharney, David, William, Nizak, Gold, Warden, Mike, Cutest Fox, and new patron Harold just joined moments before I went live. Gold patrons, RPG Papercrafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, The Lizard Lion, Sam, Jerome, Nathan, Fastica, Torres, Scott, Rufus, Karen, Jerry, Glenn, Marcus, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you for another crafting sesh on Thursday.